A fundamental legal perspective, all non-citizens in the country are accorded due process rights, and those rights entitle them to a fair hearing just as anyone else has. If they have, say, even like a car taken away from them by the government, they get more protections than expedited removal provides them.
So now when an immigrant is apprehended, what will ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, what will they look at in terms of that person's status to enforce this expedited removal scheme? Can you give us maybe an example of someone who would be impacted by this?
It's still unclear exactly how it will be used on the ground. An individual who would, say, just recently entered the country, say in the past 6 months, could be deported by an ICE officer simply with a few simple pieces of paper and never see an immigration judge.
In other words, expedited removal would mean an immediate deportation. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
What prompted this change, Anand?
In my view, it wasn't prompted by any sort of practical need. The immigration system has worked well, and it has provided, hearings for people who are in the interior of the country for over a century. And I think that it's best to see this as part and parcel of sort of the attempt to crack down on immigrants' rights that started 4 years ago.
ICE has taken other aggressive steps lately in battleground states, for example, like Pennsylvania. Tell us what happened there.
ICE has been placing billboards with the faces of people who are alleged to be undocumented, who purportedly have committed crimes. I mean, this is something that just shouldn't happen. I mean, the immigration system shouldn't run on fear and hatred in that way. It neither makes communities safer, nor does it advance any sort of rational administration of the immigration law. All it does is sow fear and confusion.
Anand Balakrishnan is a staff attorney at the ACLU Immigrants' Rights Project. Thanks very much for being with us, Anand.
Of course. Thank you.
You're listening to The World.
Tonight, who stays on message and whose mic might have to be muted? Judge Barrett remains on track to join the Supreme Court as a new justice. And can Congress come to a new deal to help millions keep their heads above water as COVID cases spike again across much of the country? I'm Jen White. It's the Friday News Roundup, next time on 1A.
Tomorrow morning at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
This week marks the centennial of Timothy Leary's birth. On the next Fresh Air, we listen to interviews from our archive with Leary and his former colleague Richard Alpert, who later became known as Ram Dass, about their experiments with and advocacy of psychedelics. And Michael Pollan will talk about current experiments with the therapeutic use of psychedelics. Join us.
Tomorrow at 1 on WJCT News 89.9.